Dark clouds hung over Bavaria in 1945, as if the heavens themselves mourned what humanity had become. The small town of Dachau, just outside Munich, had become infamous across the world. Behind its barbed wires and cold concrete walls stood one of the first concentration camps built by the Third Reich, a place where cruelty had been refined into an industry. Tens of thousands of prisoners, Jews, political opponents, priests, Romani, and so many others were trapped inside. By the final year of the war, more than 30,000 emaciated souls filled its barracks. Death lingered everywhere, on the roads leading in the barracks where disease festered, in the firing ranges where executions echoed. But while Dachau's victims suffered, its commandant and officers lived off wealth stolen from those very prisoners. Rings ripped from fingers, gold teeth pulled from the mouths of the dead, family heirlooms and precious jewels stripped from people who once believed they were safe. All of it collected, sorted, and stored, an obscene mountain of human tragedy converted into treasure. As Allied forces pushed deeper into Germany in the spring of 1945, the Nazi elite in Dachau grew desperate. They knew the end was near. The Reich was collapsing, the Americans advancing. Every officer feared capture, trial, and execution. In the final days, with chaos erupting everywhere, a secret plan was set into motion. The commandant ordered 4 heavy boxes filled with gold, diamonds, and jewels confiscated from prisoners. With the help of loyal officers, the treasure was prepared for transport. This wasn't simply wealth. It was survival, an escape plan, a way to rebuild their shattered lives in hiding. But history would take a different turn. On a moonless night, as artillery thunder rolled in the distance, the treasure left Dachau. For men, all SS officers, carried the crates under the cover of darkness. Each knew the plan. Move south, slip past the collapsing German front lines, and hide the treasure somewhere safe until it could be recovered. Their chosen path was bold and dangerous, an escape to the Austrian Alps. They traveled with forged documents, military trucks, and absolute silence. If caught, they would hang as looters. If successful, they would live like kings in exile. The men pushed to Bavaria, crossed into Austria, where towering peaks shielded their movements. The final destination was a hidden alpine lake, Lake Lünersee, a remote, ice-fed body of water nestled in the Vorarlberg region near the Swiss border. At that time, Lünersee was surrounded by jagged cliffs, snow, and silence. It was perfect, untouched by farmers, far from soldiers, and nearly impossible to reach without mountaineering skill. Here, they believed no one would ever stumble upon their prize. The crates were dragged across rocky paths, lifted with ropes, and pushed through mud. By the time they reached Lünersee, the men were exhausted, half-starved, and paranoid. But with desperation came determination. They dug, they struggled, and finally, they hid the treasure deep within the alpine wilderness. When the last shovel of earth was thrown, one officer looked at his comrades and swore, "When the war is over, we will return, and this will be our salvation." But destiny had no mercy. Within weeks, Allied forces captured them. Tried for war crimes, they were executed, one by one. The plan to return and claim their treasure died with them. Or so it seemed. Years passed. The war ended. Europe rebuilt itself on ruins and memories of suffering. Dachau became a place of testimony, a reminder of horror, a scar etched forever into history. But among whispers of survivors, a different story lingered. The story of missing Nazi gold. In 1952, that story surfaced again when a condemned Nazi officer revealed the truth to an unlikely listener, awaiting his execution. He confessed to Dr. Wilhelm Gross, an Austrian physician, that a treasure stolen from Dachau prisoners had been hidden before the war ended. The man described the lake, the route, the desperate burial. Dr. Gross was stunned. If the tale was true, then millions, maybe tens of millions, in jewels and gold lay waiting in the mountains. But was this a dying man's riddle or was it real? To find out, Gross shared the secret with Edward Gregor, a U.S. Army intelligence officer stationed in Austria. Gregor was no stranger to post-war mysteries. Rumors of Nazi gold flowed everywhere. Some spoke of trains filled with gold in Poland, others of treasure ships sunk in rivers, others still of hidden stashes and salt mines. Most were fables. But this This had detail, a precise lake, a named path, a first-hand account. Together, Gross and Gregor would trace the supposed escape route. They followed the prisoner's words, step by step, through valleys and ridges, until finally they stood at the edge of Lake Lünersee. The lake was vast, cold, and silent. Towering cliffs reflected in its mirror-like surface. Looking at it, one could easily imagine four desperate men burying boxes of stolen treasure along its shores. But there was one problem: time. By the time Gross and Gregor reached Lünersee, it was no longer the same untouched wilderness. The post-war years had changed the landscape. Erosion had shifted the soil. More devastating still, in 1956, engineers constructed a massive dam, flooding parts of the area to harness hydroelectric power. The original hiding places, the rocky slopes, the shallow crevices, disappeared under 75 feet of water. If the treasure had truly been buried there, it was now at the bottom of a man-made lake, sealed away by nature and progress. Gross refused to give up. In 1956, he returned with Gregor, maps in hand, convinced he could pinpoint the exact burial site. They scoured the shoreline, probed the shallow areas, searched every accessible crevice. Nothing. If the crates were there, they were beyond reach, swallowed by the depths. Years passed. Gross grew older. The legend became a fading memory. Then, in 1990, an extraordinary event reignited the mystery. The dam at Lünersee was temporarily drained for repairs. For a few short days, the water level dropped back to what it had been in the 1940s. Gregor, now an old man, seized a chance. He returned, determined to solve the puzzle once and for all. He walked the exposed banks, scanned the mud, searched the newly revealed cracks in the earth. Yet again, no treasure appeared. Some said the crates had rotted, their contents sunk deeper into the mud. Others believed the treasure was still there, simply hidden in a spot Gregor never reached. And a few whispered darker theories. Perhaps someone else had found it first, silently recovering it before the dam was built, leaving only an empty legend behind. Today, the story of the Dachau treasure has become one of Europe's most enduring mysteries. Historians and adventurers still debate it. Could it really be lying beneath the icy waters of Lünersee? Sealed away forever? Treasure hunters have risked everything chasing it. Some have dived into the freezing waters, though visibility is poor and depths dangerous. Others have scanned with sonar, only to find confusing signals lost in layers of rock and sediment. Local villagers pass the story down like folklore. They speak of the Nazi gold of Lünersee in hushed tones, half believing, half skeptical. Tourists hike the stunning trails unaware that beneath their feet, under blue alpine waters, might rest $50 million worth of stolen jewels. The last fragments of countless lives destroyed at Dachau. But the legend isn't just about gold. It's about memory. Every ring, every necklace, every coin in those crates belonged to someone. Someone who suffered. Someone who likely never left Dachau alive. If the treasure exists, it is not just wealth. It is a silent graveyard of stories, of names, of human dignity stolen and hidden away. And perhaps that is why it refuses to be found. Standing today on the edge of Lake Lünersee, one sees breathtaking beauty. Snow peaks pierce the sky, waterfalls cascade into crystal waters, and silence rules the air. It feels untouched, eternal. But beneath that calm lies a haunting possibility. Did the treasure sink into the mud, sealed forever? Did someone secretly retrieve it in the chaos of post-war Europe? Or is it still waiting in perfect preservation, inside rotting crates at the bottom of the lake? The truth may never be known. The dam ensures that the lake remains high. The water's deep, the search nearly impossible. Technology may one day pierce its secrets, but until then, the story lingers as myth, as obsession, as unfinished business. For some, the Dachau treasure is a lure, millions of dollars waiting for the bold. For others, it is a curse, a reminder of the darkest days of humanity, wealth born from misery that should never bring joy. And so the legend endures. In every gust of alpine wind, in every ripple across Lünersee's surface, in every whispered tale of missing Nazi gold, somewhere beneath the water, truth sleeps. And until it rises, the treasure of Dachau remains one of history's most chilling mysteries.